You never get bored of representing your country, that's for sure. But I think there's other things out there in the world that inspire me, that I want to be challenged by. So, you know, for me, this is my last 3 games. I have said this before, and it's come back to bite me in the bum actually. But this year was always going to be my last. It was just the timing of it, I suppose. I don't think I could go through another pre-season and all the rigmarole. So, you know, I've been loving playing for my country, and you know, one of the things that's been good is to come up here and try and help a lot of the younger guys that have come into the team on the back of a lot of injuries, and I think that's been a really enjoyable role for me to fulfil. I know a lot of guys that have played and they've had to retire for a number of reasons, whether they get the tap on the shoulder or injury. And I always wanted to retire on my own terms, and I think that you know, I've been able to do that this year. So it's one of those things. A lot of people always say, "Don't retire," but within myself, I know that I've probably gone past that mark, and if I continue to play, I'd be doing myself and my teammates a disservice as well.
One criticism that the Australians have often faced is their perceived scrummaging weakness. It's a bit of a cliche, I suppose. Do you think that's fair?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Consistency is something that we've haven't been overly good at over a number of years. You know, we probably had a couple of years there where we were consistently very good. Through the Tri-Nations this year, or the Rugby Championship and the inbound tests in June, you know, our scrum was very good against France. Some things happened that we probably hadn't come across for a long period of time, and some guys hadn't come across at all, and we just didn't adapt to it at all, you know. So I think the focus is always, for us, it's important, but culturally, I think that's the point you make is really important, because the Northern Hemisphere, when you come up here with a team, you know, the crowd goes crazy when the scrum packs. But it's great, it's fantastic, because it is an arm wrestle, and the crowd recognise that for what it is. It's a physical confrontation where, you know, one team can assert their dominance. And, you know, in the Southern Hemisphere, you know, there's a lot of other codes that the game competes with. So people are probably more interested in the tries being scored and the broken play and the like. Those little contests within the game probably aren't as highly anticipated in the Southern Hemisphere, or in Australia at least, as it is up here. But that doesn't make us have any less, I guess, focus on the scrum. We know how important it is, and as I said, we've been good against the All Blacks, who over the years have been probably one of the best scrums in the world, the Springboks as well, and the Argentinians as well.
And also, do you think that reputation, deserved or not, has counted against you?
Look, I think definitely, and that's no attack at the referees. It's just the way it is, because every team, once there's a perception about a team, then, you know, if something goes wrong and it's a marginal call either way, the team that's, I guess, perceived to have the strongest scrum is going to get the benefit of the doubt, really. So we're going to be playing against perceptions of referees that if the scrum goes down, it's our fault. We're not blind to that. That's reality, and we'll deal with it.
This is how they've come and gone, Nathan. Harrison, Vickerman, Chisholm, Dean Mumm, Horwill, Tamani. What do you put your longevity down to? Because these guys, you have packed down with a lot of partners.
Oh, I think obviously a bit of luck. Probably genetics a little bit. You know, I think perhaps, you know, I just got, you know, mum and dad handed me some pretty resilient genetics maybe. And the thing that I've always done in my career is I've always worked really hard. I've worked harder when I've been away from people's eyes. So I've always been very hard on myself to train harder when no one's watching. And that's been something that's always driven me in my rugby. So that, I mean, I don't know if that's got a direct correlation to me playing more games or not, but that's been my focus. Whenever I've been outside of the team environment, I always know that if I'm doing more, then you know, my opponent probably won't be.
Also, tell me, how much work, I mean, you've been, you know, playing international rugby for a long, long time. How much work do you put in to try and crack other teams' codes? I mean, we had Scott Johnson talking about the 2001 line still has, hey, he was spying on all the codes and things.
Yeah.
Come on, you can let us know now. Is there a hell of a lot of analysis, or is it just...
We tried to in earlier years, you know, particularly with video footage and the like. Very hard to, unless a team is very repetitive in the same type of calling structure, it's very hard to get a beat on it. Sometimes, you know, over the length of my career, you know, we've had a few good nights at the office because we've picked up a call earlier, or we've picked up a call within the game, but it's not something we focus on too much. We probably look at more patterns of where teams go, their line-out setups and formations, and then we try and react to those accordingly.
I like all that subterfuge there.
Yeah, but it's very frustrating because whenever we come to the line-out though for Australia, the cameras go straight on my face, So every team around the world gets our calls, which doesn't seem to happen for the other teams, which is a bit frustrating.
Are there like hidden calls? Are there silent calls? Are there trigger calls? Are there abandoning calls?
Look, every team's got their own way they approach the lineouts, but yeah, certainly we've got a number of different calls for different, I guess, types of jumps, speeds of jumps, all the rest of it. And I always compare rugby to chess, and lineouts are probably the biggest part of it. That's a real contest within a contest, because if you can find clear space for your jumpers to jump into, it makes an easier day for your hooker. Your delivery to your halfback's a lot easier, and your set piece can flow from there. So it's an important part of the game.
Age 25, you played in the 2003 World Cup and of course reached the final against England. Not the result you wanted, but your memories of that tournament, and I suppose specifically that day. Yeah,
that day, that 7 days was quite surreal, because everyone expected us to lose to New Zealand in the semi-final. Eddie Jones came up with a game plan with the senior players, and we implemented that perfectly well, and we got the result in the semi. We went through the final, and it was ironic, because leading up to the World Cup in 2003, we went and had a pre-season or pre-World Cup camp in Darwin in the sweating heat, because the thought was that by the time we got to the final stages of the World Cup, it'd be very hot. We'd have to deal with humidity and heat. So we went up and sweated our butts off up in Darwin for a week, and it always strikes me in hindsight. We woke up the morning of the World Cup final, and it was raining and about 15 degrees outside. So, you can prepare as best you can, but you can never control all the environmental factors, I suppose. But I think in hindsight, when you look at those memories, you sort of, when you're younger, you think, oh, well, we'll get another shot at that. But, it doesn't always happen like that.
You played against the Lions for Queensland back in 2001. Can you remember any of that? I mean, it's sad that the Lions tours, in a way, just haven't fallen for you. Yeah,
they bookend my career, actually. But, that's the way it is. I can't look back on my career with any regrets, other than, I would have loved to have won a World Cup. But that's the way it goes sometimes.
Will they have a big impact down there again this year, do you think?
Oh, huge. The Lions will be huge down there. There's already plenty of excitement about it. And, geez, I'm looking forward to going out there and putting my feet up in the stand and having a beer and watching the guys run around. So, that's one of the major attractions for rugby around the world. You've got your World Cup, you've got your Lions tours, and I know the Lions will be keen to get a win. It's been a while since they won a tour, and Australia understands the importance of winning as well. So I think it's going to be an absolute belter of a trip.
So you said this is the swan song, this is it. When you look back now, what has rugby meant to you?
Look, rugby's been amazing to me, and that's why, if it stopped tomorrow, I could have nothing to complain about. It's been fantastic. I've been very lucky. But I think the thing for me that I take out of rugby the most is the people in it, the people that I've played with, the people that I've met around the edges, all just great people. And a lot of people talk about rugby greats. I'm just talking in Australia here, guys like Stephen Larkham, George Smith, Matt Giddos. They're great players, but they're even better blokes, and that's the beauty of it, because you get these guys that have got fantastic skill and talent, but the reason that I enjoy it is because of who they are and what they bring to the table and to the team, and that's the thing I'm going to miss the most, I think, being involved in that circle of just terrific people.